What is AI? What is the tool? What do we do with it? And what is it other than a buzzword? And how do we start using it? If you're not using it, you're potentially going to have problems going forward. It's been said that over 50% of the jobs in the next 15 years are going to be replaced with AI. So you need to be looking at what you can do, how you can use it, and be productive in the marketplace and or pivot if you're in a position where a job is that you believe is going to be eliminated. Who needs a graphic artist when you've got AI to create all your graphics for you? But you may need a marketing director. Our guest today is Jayson Potts. Jayson is part of the C-Suite team, president of C-Suite Support, and part of the C-Suite Network, where we have the C-Suite Support Council. We've been starting off a group called the CEO Alliance, and we're bringing in people in all verticals of business, CHROs, CMOs, etc., as well as B2B like venture and payroll systems and insurance systems, and etc., to provide events for going out and finding everything you need for your business. Or if you're in the business of being a B2B person, you have a source to provide for your clients. Today, the hook line of what we're going to be talking about: what is AI? What is the tool? What do we do with it? And what is it other than a buzzword? And how do we start using it? So with that, Jayson, I'd like to turn it over to you. Why is AI such a game changer for business going forward?
So what if I told you that AI wasn't just another tool, but a game-changing partner for CFOs? We're going to dive into how tools like ChatGPT, Julius, and other AI platforms are transforming financial leadership in ways that dashboards like Fathom, Profit Sense, or even Google searches can't touch. There's a lot of different AI tools, and we're going to concentrate on the financial ones, the ones that we would want to use if we were CFOs. CFOs are under pressure to deliver faster, deeper insights while navigating complex financial landscapes, and we want to share what I know to make it easier for you, understanding that AI won't replace CFOs, but it's a partnership that we want to make sure that we understand and use to just help elevate us and what we deliver to our clients.
Well, let's talk about what sets the scene. As a CFO, we use a lot of tools, starting with the basics of Excel to ERP systems, accounting systems, Fathom HQ, Profit Sense, other things like that to give us reporting tools. What's the key differentiator of AI versus all of these tools?
AI has a better understanding. It actually solves problems. It's intuitive. What I typically do every month for my clients is I start out with Fathom. I think we're going to look into Profit Sense as well, but that kind of gets it started with dashboards, but AI takes it to another level where a Fathom or other tools are static. AI is real time. It adapts for our dynamic financial needs, and it creates tailored, actionable insights instead of static reports. You can take a PDF, an Excel file from a financial statement, a P&L, a balance sheet, and give AI the guidelines or what you're looking for, and it can quickly, within seconds, turn around a very current and real-time document that any CEO would want to look at and find a lot of good information.
You and I were involved in a situation not too long ago, and I was trying to build out an Excel spreadsheet that had a very complex formula necessary to make it work. And I'm looking with it, trying to play with it, going into it, and I said, okay, I'm going to ask AI. Well, ChatGPT shoots out what the formula is. So then I go in and I put what the basics are of the deal, and it gives me the formula that I can copy paste and put in the worksheet, and it gathers 3 different worksheets, does the pros and cons and the valuation of it. And I did it in about 5 minutes. I could have spent, on Excel or on Microsoft or somewhere else an inordinate amount of time. I will have to tell you that I virtually will not use any of the browsers to go search out the information. I go to ChatGPT, ask my question, and it gives me the source of where they're getting it so I can reconfirm it. What is the differentiators between the AI, what they do, and how you pull that in for specific CFO responsibilities?
Paul, a couple of weeks ago, you were looking at one of our clients and you had sent me the financials. So I took those financials and I wanted AI to let me know whether the company was strong or not. And if not, I wanted it to tell me what things they could do to increase revenue. Not only do that, but put it in a table show me what those cost savings would be and compare it so that any CEO could look at that and see what the effects would be. And so I was kind of shocked at the amount of detail that it gave me. And of course, sometimes you have to go back in and edit and update to get exactly what you want. But probably within 30 minutes of going back and forth, I had sent it to you, and I think we were both shocked at what it did.
I had to go in and update some information on that particular client. So I got the updated information. I said, okay, I want this, but I want to update all of the information to year to date, and updated it. And then I said, I want to know the sources for this and what are the benchmarks for each one of these things. And lo and behold, here they come. From the client standpoint, he's getting a lot of information. He appreciates taking that from an informative standpoint from their monthly presentation of what happened last month. What do you see as far as how it enhances the CFO responsibilities towards projections, cash flow, M&A analysis, tax planning, etc.?
I have all my clients set up in chats. This thing doesn't forget. So every month I go in and update a financial statement. I've got a kind of a predetermined or formatted financial summary that I like and my clients like, and it just updates it. Probably takes 30 seconds to a minute once you have it built, and it's amazing. I go ahead and do the 13-week cash flow, but then I drop it into ChatGPT and ask for a summary because I really want the client to see and understand cash. And a lot of times I'll ask it to give it to me in layman's terms or a professional summary that anyone can understand, and it does exactly that. Now, when they see the email summary, they have a lot of questions.
I do build out Excel spreadsheet cash flows. I come up with results, and it allows me to put that cash flow into the Chat GPT, give me an analysis of the cash flow that gives me better information than what I had before. It also can do tax planning. Here's my projection for the next year, next 3 years. What are my implications of tax planning and compliance to meet with that? And then as recently, I was working with a company that's going out for an M&A transaction. And I asked it, okay, these are the components I want. This is the parameters I want to give. Build a strategic plan for the next 5 years. It does it. You put in the history of what happened, and then it builds right off of that for the next 5 years. And it does it very well. And not only does it very well, if you have a business plan to put, it'll tell you how you're going to do it. I see it as a major tool for us to go out to companies across industries of all kinds. And as you know, we work with a lot of companies that are interested in buying companies or in selling companies. So it gives you that opportunity to evaluate the companies themselves as well as us doing quality of earnings on.
I've done several quick valuations. I used to have a pretty intense DCF model, and now I can just take the financial statements, have ChatGPT give me any benchmarking or current acquisition sales information, multiples for the industry, and it will calculate the terminal value, give me the multiples, and I can pop that over to my client in 30 minutes to an hour, and they're pretty happy.
We've recently partnered with a big data firm that does AI. They've signed a contract with the AICPA nationally, and now they're signing state contracts for them to do evaluation of their financials and potentially deep dives of profitability in all aspects, taking AI into Fathom on steroids. So we have just started doing that, and we look to see as that being an opportunity to help a lot of companies, even if it's just giving them a financial statement of where they are, which the smaller CPA firms, many of them, they started up, they've never truly run a business, and they don't know how to do many aspects of business itself. We look for that to be a major opportunity for us in taking that out. And when you complement it with the AI, we actually can give them instructional as well as building opportunities in their company. What do you see as far as strategic growth initiatives?
It's a whole lot easier and more efficient to do projections using AI. So used to, I would try to go into Fathom, and it's pretty complex to set up your criteria and get it exactly the way you want it. Whereas in AI, you just upload your financials, ask for benchmarks. AI, if you ask for competitive or industry standard benchmarks, it doesn't give you specific companies, but what it does is gives you the industry standard, and then it tells you the sources that it gets it. And then what I do, if I want competitor information, is I'll drop in a 10Q or a K from a company that I know is a competitor, and there I get my company benchmarks.
Why does AI outperform tools like Fathom HQ, ProfitSense, and other things, which many times uses some AI, but not necessarily focuses on AI?
It's kind of like you're having a conversation with a friend. It's smart learning, machine learning. It kind of gets to know you and what you're about. Fathom and Profit Sense and all the other ones out there, the AP, AR tools, they can't do that. And now they've even got the voice activated feature where you can talk to it as you're working. So that even makes it more efficient. AI just acts as a brainstorming partner for CFOs, and it enables you to adapt to follow-up questions. And one time I made the mistake, I was sharing the screen and I pulled the AI up. I didn't pay attention to the fact that Zoom was showing my AI screen. The client had a question. I typed it out and they saw how I was getting the answer. So sometimes you have to be careful, but it's so quick to respond. It's helped me to understand more about tax planning. It'll explain revenue recognition. It'll give examples. Paul and all the people at C-Suite will tell you, I can do accounting, but I'd rather you stick an ice pick through my left eye than do it.
I agree with you. Tell me how you use that for brainstorming for the CFOs and your companies. What do you do to make them better while you're making yourself better?
You can actually share your chats with your team. And what I've been doing is there's even a feature now where you can save the link of your chat. So I've actually sent those out to people. It makes it a lot easier to collaborate. And then as far as your clients, there's only one client I have that knows what I'm doing. He's an e-commerce client. He wanted to know something about the industry. So I popped something together in about 15 minutes and sent it over. And he goes, you got this from chat, didn't you? I used to not want people to know, but I mean, if you can give them what they want in 75% less time and more accurate and detailed, then why wouldn't we want to use it?
If we can get them starting to look at things, then the bigger thing that they have is how can they save payroll? And we talked about this earlier, rejecting 50% of the mundane jobs or the repetitive jobs that we have in the marketplace today will be replaced by AI. So that means your skill set needs to start moving towards something that supports AI as opposed to being replaced by AI. We're working with companies to improve efficiency on AP, AR, how they run their reports, what they're looking at. Isabela has put together some major comparisons of what happens with companies that don't have AI versus the ones that do. We'll share those with you if you choose. We do post them on LinkedIn. In addition to the efficiency gains we have there, what about the unexpected use cases?
I actually have a client that was upset at his tax position at the end of the year, and I input their 23 taxes, the current financials, and just asked it to let me know based on their tax situation last year, where they at this year? And then after the ordinary income, can you give me any ideas on things where they could actually get some additional write-offs? And so it not only gave me all the analysis, but then gave me things like, is there any liabilities that you can accrue? And talked about paying the owner a bonus. And when I talk to people, even other business leaders, and I talk about AI, this is the answer I get. Granted, we have to be careful, and I've usually got some policies and backup, and I'll send those in and use it to make it even that much better. Our clients, I think, are getting spoiled because there isn't anything we can't give them now in a pretty quick turnaround.
Let's move on for practical tips for CFOs to start using AI.
Most people are familiar with ChatGPT. I actually started using Julius before Chat because it was more of a financial analysis tool. And what I have noticed is that both Chat and Julius prefer PDFs to Excel sheets because it has issues sometimes with spaces and gaps, and there's just a lot of editing that needs to be done. Chat is more of a tool. It does financials really well, but Julia does more graphical interface and more trending, but they're both amazing. Like we've been talking about, if you combine Fathom HQ and Profit Sense and other tools with Chat or Julius, it's just going to make who you are as a CFO that much stronger.
One of the other things that I've done is use it for brainstorming. Now, keeping in mind, ChatGPT can create graphics for it, but it doesn't do quite as well as some of the other AI programs out there that give you good, strong graphical representations. I drive Isabela crazy from time to time that, okay, I like it this way, but I want to see it that way. And she's able to utilize that to help her. Instead of spending hours on graphic creations, she's able to do that pretty quick with other programs. Let's talk about real world success stories.
What I did is I took one of my clients and I wanted to know the health of the company and what we could do to make it stronger. So I'll just start here because I don't want to give up the name of the company, but I basically told it I wanted to know how strong the company was if there's things we could do to make it stronger, what recommendations there were. And so it came back, with the revenue, the cost of goods, operating expenses. I asked it for the industry standard, and then it gave me the sources below, and then it would give me the difference. I also asked it for competitor analysis. Here's the glossary of the competitors that it used to come up with the industry standard. This is important because I've actually had clients ask me, what companies are you talking about? Or where did you get it? And so this really shows you what's behind it. So what I did was I asked it to take the recommendations for revenue, COGS, and OPEX. Here's the current state, and then here's the future state. It had gotten into some subscription revenue that I didn't even think of, some things to make COGS better, some reductions to OPEX. And then it gave me the change. So if you're a client and you see that you were in the negative and it looks like you can make changes in the amount of almost 600,000, net gain of almost 757,000. And look, a lot of times I have to ask it for more detail because sometimes it can just throw it up on the screen pretty quick. And so I'm always asking for more detail. So Paul, this is the one that we use to kind of tag team one of our clients.
Absolutely. And just for information, after I got into the client and closing down year end, we had to make quite a few adjustments to the financial. As you know, you always go to the balance sheet. If it's on the balance sheet, that means you have a company that owes you money and it has a specific invoice, or you have a company that you owe money and they have a specific amount on their company that they say you owe, and you have to balance those things. Sounds pretty simple, but we find that many companies don't check that, don't know that, don't pay attention to that. So when we go in and we start looking at it, in that particular company, I'm now at $241,000 worth of adjustments to their balance sheet that are both expenses and income. So instead of losing $170,000, now they're making $12,000. And the owner says, well, does that mean I'm going to have to pay taxes? And I said, yeah, it's a bad problem, but you're not in the position you thought you were. So he's ecstatic. He just doesn't want to pay taxes. But it gives you that ability to go in there. And I redacted what you just did for the current position and now have a different set of dynamics that we're going to be going after for that company. So well done. I just took it over. It was brand new to me. And in a matter of 2 weeks, we've got a company and a CEO that is over the top happy about the work that's being done.
We have another client that was given some information about revenue recognition from their CPA firm. We couldn't find it in looking at the financials. So I did some research, popped in, revenue recognition, looked at the progress billing versus using unbilled, over or underbilled. I started looking for the accounts, couldn't find them, and quickly realized they really weren't doing revenue recognition. The cool thing about AI is you go back to it and it picks up right where you left off.
What is revenue recognition?
So revenue recognition is ASC 606. It's essentially any work in progress that you have based on your performance obligations and what the contract says. Essentially anything that's over a period of time, or work in progress, you need to recognize the revenues. I call it percent complete. If you have a project that's 50% complete in December, you have to recognize 50% of the revenue. It can't just roll it into the next year. And I think what we found, Paul, with a lot of our clients, because they're smaller, is their CPA firms just let it roll into the next year. And then we have to come in and there's either a financial restatement issued or amended tax returns or both.
Let's talk about AI isn't just a tool. What do you see as leveraging AIs for your strategic edge?
The biggest area that I see it is navigating complex acquisitions, managing client relationships, or analyzing financial trends. Honestly, it can do anything. I'm not the most empathetic guy on the block, and I actually use it at times when I have to show more empathy than I have. It does a great job of doing what I need it to do, and it's actually helped me understand times that I need to use it. I have a client that's done 5 acquisitions in 2 years. First 4, I didn't have AI. The last one, and then he's working on another one, I specifically started using it to do valuations. I compare it to prior valuations that I did with my DCF model. It comes up with the same answer. It's just, 50 times quicker.
Recently, as you know, we're members of C12. It's a Vistage for Christian business owners. Well, one of the things they were dealing with the most recent meeting was about business evaluation and selling your company. AI gave me the opportunity to build a worksheet DCF worksheet that had the ability to have the CEO put in a dozen pieces of factual information, and it gave it the range of the sale based upon whether it was transactional or tech-driven or SaaS, meaning services or software. Those three components, or those three differentiate, and the multiple, meaning a transactional company is typically going to sell from 3 to 5 times your EBITDA, if EBITDA is the one you use. A technology assisted company is going to run in the 6 to 8 times multiple, maybe 9 on occasion. SaaS companies, service where you have monthly recurring revenues for all of your revenue or virtually all your revenue, you're going to get a 12 to 14 times multiple. So it's critically important to know the difference of those three items and be able to put in information to kind of get you an idea of where you are. AI gave me the pieces I needed to get that done and did it in about an hour. But let's go to the next step. Getting all the data is not just an island. There's got to be the human that understands it and has the synergy to pull that together. Let's talk about AI doesn't replace people that need to understand how to use the AI, and I alluded to that earlier in this call.
AI is a partnership. I don't think it'll ever replace a CFO because you have to have someone that understands what they're looking at, and not only what they're looking at, but they have to be able to communicate with AI to get what they need. One thing I haven't talked about is there are times when it doesn't deliver the right result. I've always got a financial statement up because there's times when it's not perfect. And it even tells you at the bottom, ChatGPT can make mistakes. And so if you don't know what you're doing, it doesn't do you any good. And so that's why I think there's always going to be a place, a really important place for CFOs more now than ever because of the technology that we have at our fingertips. I would just say if you're not already using chat, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Start using it. But it's important that the driver, which is us, understands how to use it and use it efficiently, effectively, and for our clients.
What is a best practice, whether you're making tools, you're creating software, you're writing books? One of the best practices here that I'll put on the top of the discussion is collaboration with your team. What are your thoughts towards that?
I've been using it now more than in the past just because what I like about ChatGPT is it's always changing for the better. It didn't used to give you source information that you could get from the internet, and well, now you can get that. It didn't used to give you a link. Used to in the past, I remember copying and pasting loads of chats and putting it in Word and sending it to Paul so he could copy and paste it into his. And now you can copy a link and send that over, and then you can use it for business. There's several plans that you can purchase, get your team on it, and you can actually share chats. Every time I talk to someone, Paul, whether it's you or Chris or some of the other people at work that use it, I always learn something new.
Your company is going to be affected by it, whether your competitors outpace you, outperform you, or use AI to make their companies more aggressive and stronger while you sit on the sideline. What are your thoughts about staying ahead of the curve?
I'm always going back and forth between Chat and Julius and asking, I want to learn this. What's the best way to get it? Look, I'm not the most technical guy in the room, but I've had more luck typing in things that I can't figure out on Outlook or email or something. It gives me the information and I just follow the prompts to get it done. So it's like anything. Don't let technology pass you by.
I'd say as a general rule, do something instead of nothing and see what it does for you. I mentioned earlier, if I'm looking for something or an answer to something, I used to go to Microsoft. Well, what do I do to do this for Outlook or for Excel or whatever? And you'd go through 10 different links and you'd get half the answer or you wouldn't get any of the answer. And I go to chat and it gives me an answer to the question I asked. As you said earlier, you've got to do the right prompt to get the answer you're looking for. But once you get it, then you say, oh, well, that's not really what I'm looking for. Let's adjust that. So with that, I'm going to open it up to Bob and Isabela.
Thanks, Jayson, for all your input and your knowledge that you're sharing. One big question you get into is the data integrity piece that might be behind all this. Have you run into instances where the data in a company really doesn't make sense, doesn't balance, or something like that, where you're having to do deep dives and figure out what's really going on there?
There's times when I will take something out of Fathom or a spreadsheet or a PDF file and you put it into chat. There's times when things don't make sense, and when they don't make sense, that's when you start doing more more prompting to try to ferret out what the issue is. And usually questions like telling AI doesn't make sense, what's your recommendation? And then before you know it, you get a list of things that could be a root cause, and then you drill into that.
Have you seen it used in the customer interface on any of the companies we're dealing with?
I've written some AR policies and had it create kind of a step up in severity as far as, having 4 or 5 emails or letters ready to go, depending on how far behind they are.
If you're trying to figure out what are the requirements or aspects of what you need with HR, it will write an HR handbook for you. Now, does it match your company needs? Probably not. But if you go back in and add the prompts for the things that are unique to your company, you can at least clean up an area or write a whole book out of it if you want to. People that is in our alliance group has written 2 books with AI and wrote both of those books in a day, and they're both published.
I would also say, Paul, real quick, that when you upgrade to 4.0, I always follow whatever I'm doing with whatever client. I put the web address in, because what it does is it goes in behind the scenes to learn what it is they're pulling the financials for. I also use it, and I have something built where I can put a job description, a resume, and my questions that I've asked them into a form in a chat, and it gives me a really cool synopsis of the candidate, the recommendations, the strengths, the weaknesses, and then is the guy or girl the right person based on the job description and how they answer the questions.
Isabela, let's step in. I know that one of the things that you do is you do a lot of AI work. Tell us how you use AI, Isabela.
I've been using AI to improve our marketing and creative processes for over a year now. And it's amazing the way that AI has improved the time and efficiency that we perform during our daily tasks. I've been using WriteSonic, which is an amazing tool. It's basically like a chat GPT, but for content creation. It has like this amazing ability to learn from your brand, from the kind of voice and the target that you're trying to reach, and also has this amazing SEO capabilities. I highly recommend this tool for everyone trying to grow their personal brand or their small and medium company for content generation. And as Jayson was mentioning before, it's not going to replace at all the marketing people. I think it's very important that we have the right people and the right strategists to verify that the statistics or the content that the platform is suggesting is appropriate for your brand.
First of all, it's been a pleasure to do the podcast. I think my reason for wanting to do it is just to get more people into it. I talk to lots of professionals and to actually taken aback by the number of people that still don't really use it or try to get the most out of it. It's easy to use for emails and processes. And like Paul said, it could put together an HR handbook in 3 seconds.
Well, I appreciate it, Jayson. Thank you for joining us. Bob, Isabela, we appreciate it. As a company, C-Suite is a fractional CFO company. We have several employees that we do fractional CFO work for 50 plus companies. We love seeing successes. For us, the more you're grateful for what you have, the more you'll be grateful for. That is borrowed from Zig Ziglar, who used to be a Sunday school teacher as well as a renowned person in the business world. So we love that and we appreciate that. So for today, signing off, C-Suite support. Come back next time.